you know how many customers walk through that store without fighting that homeless dude, and you did? Have you thought about that part?
Imagine you're an Uber Eats driver, there to pick up your meal when a homeless man comes up to you. All you're trying to do...
Can I get some cash?
Dude, I'm trying to film something
on, I
right
know
now.
you're
Hey, I'm good.
Come on, man! Give me the cash!
This actually happened. Who's gonna pay? Uber Eats? DoorDash? The store? The homeless man? Who knows?
Who's gonna pay for this?
A homeless guy asked you for $1 inside of a Taco Cabana.
Yes.
What were you doing inside the Taco Cabana? Are you a customer, an employee, the manager?
Oh, I was picking up a delivery for Uber Eats.
Okay, so you were just basically a customer. You're a delivery guy, waiting for your order, and he says, "Can I have $1?" This is inside the Taco Cabana.
Yes.
So he was just hanging out, panhandling inside the Taco Cabana.
Yes.
Did the staff seem like they knew the guy, or they just didn't understand what he was doing, or did they think he was a customer?
No, they definitely didn't know the guy because at the very end he was like, "Yeah, I've been trying to throw him out like 30 minutes, but he won't leave." So yeah, they were trying to get him to leave, but he wouldn't leave. And then that happened.
How did the fight happen? Who threw the first punch?
Nobody threw a punch. It was more like a tussle with the hands. Like, bro, I was trying to keep him. We played the whole hand game, right? And then I kind of got him in a headlock or whatever, and then I just sat down on a chair and just held him in a headlock. And I didn't even choke him out or anything. And then until like the guy stopped videotaping, I let him go. And then I should have let him go because I get up and he slaps me in the face and throws water on me and stuff.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So you guys are playing slappy hands, turns into a full spoon session with you, quote unquote, having him in a chokehold. He then you let go, thinking he's gonna go away, and then he takes full advantage, presses his advantage, slaps you in the face, douses you with water, and then what happens then?
And then me and the manager guy get him out the door, and we lock the door. And then he comes back in through another door and looking around trying to find a cell phone, pushes me again, and I don't do anything. I was like, I'm so out of breath and out of shape. I'm just like, what the fuck's happening? Then the guy takes off and leaves.
Have you ever thought of just giving him the fucking $1, bro?
Retrospect, yeah. Right.
Okay, so who you mentioned twice now someone was videoing. Was this another customer or?
It was the one of the employees behind the counter.
I think you should sue the store and that employee, bro.
Okay, so hold on. Before we go, what are your injuries, or what injuries did you observe on the homeless guy as a result of the tussle? That's pretty critical.
I didn't observe any injuries on him, honestly. But me, I got a couple of scrapes on my hands and I got a couple of bruises on my chest. But other than that, yeah, I'm fine. Like I didn't have to go to That's why I didn't go to the hospital or anything. Like, and I still delivered the order. You know what I mean? Like,
nice.
I still was great at my job. I still delivered that fucking order.
Did you get a tip? Did you get a tip?
Yeah, I got a pretty good tip. I ain't gonna lie.
But you never thought of giving him the $1, bro. Are you British?
Sorry?
He might be. He's
He
stingy
might be
British guy.
Yeah, you sound like British, bro.
Oh, we got some Indian and British racism. That's a plot twist I didn't expect
like
for
that.
this episode. I like it though.
Is he saying gibberish or British? I can't
British,
tell what he's
British.
saying.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Because your last name.
He's speaking gibberish and saying British.
British,
actually,
yeah.
I think, yeah. Fuck Winston Churchill. But I have a question. Okay, why are you asking if the homeless person could sue you instead of can you sue the Taco Cabana or can you sue the homeless person? Like I think you've got. I mean, I guess I like. You really think the homeless person's gonna lawyer up and come after your DoorDash money? Like, you think he's gonna come after your tip? Like,
I mean, this homeless guy was able to get into the lobby of a Taco Cabana. He would not get into the lobby of a law firm. So we're better with the locks on that.
I think there is, before we let the caller go, because I'm sure he has another delivery. I do.
I'm actually drinking a beer right now. We're good.
Okay, and hopefully not driving. So,
No, of course
Bill, what responsibility does the Taco Cabana have to keep danger away from their customers and to keep the homeless people out?
Sure. So there's no general duty for a third party, so the store, to protect people who are committing criminal acts. So either stop a criminal act or do something like that. However, there is an exception. What state are you in, caller?
Texas.
In Texas. Okay. So Texas is like most other states where there's one little limitation here, one exception to the rule, is that you have to use ordinary care if you are the restaurant owner or the building owner or the landlord, if you have a reasonable or foreseeable risk of harm to the customer or the person who's there.
Okay,
So let's
if
break
there's
that
a
down.
homeless guy living in my Taco Cabana, really emphasizing the word cabana in the Taco Cabana, and he's just
Right.
put up a residency.
Yeah, maybe he was confused about the use of cabana. You did say he was of Spanish-speaking origin, so there's a possibility there. But here's where I'm going to say it's probably not going to be a strong case for you to sue because, one, you didn't suffer much injury. But here's the other problem is the Taco Cabana doesn't sound like they knew that this guy was dangerous. They knew that he was there, but they did not know that there was a risk of harm from this guy being there. So, for example, for our callers listening at home, or even for your future Uber Eatsing or Door Dashing escapades, if the person has been a problem before and he's still in the store or comes back in the future and they don't do something about it, then the store can have liability. Whereas here, it sounds like they may have wanted to get him out because he was, a homeless guy and was maybe harassing the customers for money, but that doesn't set a reasonably foreseeable risk that he's going to get into a tussle, much less slap the shit out of you.
So, caller,
Right.
thank you for calling in, but we're gonna have to tell you on this one. We probably don't think you have a case. What was that, Vishnu?
No, I think he's
Oh, no,
worried
I
he's
wasn't
going to
trying
get
to
sued.
sue.
Yeah, I
was
don't think
making
he's.
sure I was good.
But I don't think he's going to sue you. Like Bill was saying, he can't even get into a law firm, so I wouldn't be worried about that. But think about de-escalating shit, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, for $1, you're like choking a homeless dude. Like, have you ever considered like de-escalating? Maybe like,
Yeah. I also think that the worst situation here is like
I'm pretty broke, man. I need that dollar. You know what I mean? That dollar.
no, it's not. But,
Bro,
okay.
you know how many croissants I can go buy at Publix or not Publix at fucking Pound Film for $1? I can buy
but
4
you know how
croissants.
many customers walk through that store without fighting that homeless dude, and you did? Have you thought about that part?
He needs to save the dollar for therapy to ask that question. But hold on. On the legal analysis, here's why I would also say practically you shouldn't be worried is that in Texas, the self-defense laws, right? You had a right to be where you were. Maybe there's some tape. Maybe you shoved first or whatnot, but you felt threatened. It's just really not a super clear case that one of you was the instigator or not. And at the end of the day, practically speaking, there's virtually no chance that that this guy is going to be able to lawyer up and come after you. Much less the fact that he doesn't even know who you are. So he'd have to find out from the restaurant. The restaurant would have to check the order. They'd have to call Uber Eats. Uber Eats would have to
He
disclose
would
the
actually have to
information.
turn his entire
Well,
life around.
Here's the other weird thing is that when I went back on my delivery log, Uber Eats didn't even have me being at that store, even though I got a tip for it.
Wow.
So that's kind of weird.
That's Uber Eats covering its own ass. They're like, yeah, we don't
That's
know.
what I think,
We
too.
have no idea.
I think the biggest crime in this entire story is that there was a homeless man that had chosen to live in a Taco Cabana. You're homeless, dude. You could do a Whataburger. Nothing like you could go over to Chick-fil-A. Why are you choosing an inferior taco brand
Terrible.
to live inside of?
Horrible choice.
But I think in Texas, I like your tacos. I gotta say, I
Caller, we're gonna let you go. Get on your next delivery or fly on a plane or do whatever you're doing. With
I
the
think
AM
he's
radio.
fighting another homeless guy.
I'm gonna grab
Yeah.
another beer, is what I'm gonna do. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you for
All right, bro.
calling in. Aggressive homeless people. Have you ever?
Oh yeah, bro. I live in New York. I mean, I work in New York. I see them every day. The guy would be like really like you feel the empathy, right? And then you give him $1, he straightens up, and he walks so fast to to get his
The
drugs.
drugstore?
Oh yeah, dude. Like not the drugstore. Like I don't know where the dude that sells
Yeah.
him, but so many times, like we usually laugh about that shit. Like I'll be hanging out at the McDougal,
Yeah.
and like somebody be like giving him money, and I'll be like, yo, watch this guy just straighten up and run to get his drugs.
Wow.
Like as soon as he gets the money in his hand.
Damn.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Homeless people, if you're gonna choose, right? Are they worse in India or are they worse in New York City?
No, I mean it's worse in the sense, bro. Like I think in a weird way, homeless people in India are better taken care.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, than here.
How is that?
Why? Because again, I haven't been homeless in India, so it's a more tropical country, so the elements are easier, and healthcare, those things you have government hospitals where you get free care. So if you get an ailment, like you can go to the and also now it's changing, but back then like you didn't have to have all the paperwork to get a job. Like you could be like a migrant worker, and you do like a job like here and there and keep moving. But here, like it's so freaking cold. Like you see New York City, and this dude be like passed out on the sidewalk, and it's so cold, and the shelters are like shitty, and you can't even pee outside. In India, you got to go pee or something. You go find somewhere, and like, if you isolated place, or if you don't care about privacy, you can just
Public
shit on the
river.
street,
Right.
whatever the fuck you want, and if people get pissed off, they yell at you. But like, you got places to do whatever the fuck
See,
you
that's
want to do.
interesting. So you said the cold in New York would be an issue, and I've thought about this before. I have real empathy for the homeless in Texas because we have summers that are so hot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, how are you going to stay hydrated? Like heat stroke. I would be.
Right.
I would think it would be easier to stay warm.
This is why they all need to move to San Diego. We need to just make San Diego a homeless refuge for the world's homeless.
L.A. I mean, it's probably not the right time with the fires, but L.A. is like,
I
that's
mean,
the right
if you
climate.
need people to get paid to rebuild shit, I'm just saying.
Yes.
So I gotta tell you, my first memory of a negative interaction with a homeless person was in college. I went to visit a friend in LA,
Yeah.
and he was at USC, and we were kind of walking around. If you know USC, the neighborhood around USC is actually pretty terrible. And we were at a Subway, and this guy's like, dude, I just want something to eat. Like, can I have some money? And we went in the store, and I bought this guy a sandwich. I came out, I gave him the sandwich, and he goes, I don't want fucking turkey. And he just throws the whole fucking sandwich on the ground. And like, I'm still, like, this is
Yeah.
25 years ago, and I'm like still blown away by how
Did
it
he
went.
say he didn't want turkey, and then you went in there and you just flaunted your money by buying him turkey?
Well, I have to admit, in owning my own issues, I have to say I did not ask him what he wanted on the sandwich. I presumed that a homeless man on the street would want some sandwich, but then I heard a lot more stories about that, which really, and again, to bring this full circle, this is not me being like, why aren't you grateful? It's that so much of the homeless issues are related to mental health, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not a normal reaction, and that's only the kind of issue that's like a mental health. That's why normal solutions don't really
Yeah,
work.
and also he probably wanted just some cash. Like, why the fuck are you giving me food? I've been feeding all day. Like,
Right. He did say, I just want something to eat. In
yeah,
my
that's what
defense.
they say. But then it's like, give me the fucking cash. I
Right.
want to eat some drugs.
He did take the Jameson that I offered him.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
here's a question. Now,
Yeah.
comedy is very hard. And how long have you been doing comedy?
About 8 years now.
8 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you working when you started doing comedy?
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah.
was it like to make the transition?
It wasn't that hard because comedy is more like a evening and weekend thing.
Mhm.
So I was able to kind of break that. But having kids, I wanted to like spend time with the kids, and that was the hardest part. Like every time, like I'm out there like hustling, I'm literally taking away my time with my kids.
Yeah.
And that I was always feeling guilty about that. But going back to the homeless thing, bro,
Sure,
like
sure.
Asians, we for some reason our there's always someone to take care of people because of how the structure is. People don't have time to take care of someone else,
Yeah.
and it's too expensive to take care of someone else.
Yeah.
And most of the people that we're talking about, they're drug addicts, but that is a mental health problem, like you're saying. And this is we call ourselves a first world nation, and we shouldn't be having this. This is what surprised me when I moved to America. Like, they have homeless people in America. What the fuck? Like, if America has homeless people, there is no hope for anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
And why is that? Like, is it because we have greedy people that are not even willing to share a little bit, show a little bit empathy?
I mean, we have 42 seasons of the Real Housewives, and we
Because
don't
if
have
you
enough
really
shelters
want
in
to
New York.
solve the problem,
I think that there are things that make it worse. So, like, America has a real problem with mental health, access to education, access to healthcare. These are drug epidemics. These are all things. Rising cost of housing. As housing gets more expensive and unemployment goes up.
I'm going to fight that. I'm going to say it's not rising cost of living. It's just people don't want to live anywhere other than where they want to live. They won't move to the cheaper areas.
they won't move. Yeah, that is there.
Yeah, 100%.
That
I
is
will
there.
tell you, you can get a 3-bedroom house
And-
in North Dakota,
No.
super fucking
And-
cheap.
and
And
it's
then
not
there's a
even
job.
that.
There's
It's
a
not-
job there for someone.
it's
that
not
isn't
even
skilled.
that.
No, it doesn't. It isn't magic. There's systems. These things are systems. You can always find an excuse that fits your
No,
argument.
we have low income households. It's the problem is, like, again, goes back to, like, the guy is on drugs every day. He needs mental health. He has no time to go find a house, even apply for
flip
it.
flopping on me, Vishnu. Look, some of them are drugs,
Yeah.
some of them are mental health,
Yes.
some
Yeah.
of them are both. Some of them are just an uneducated single mom with a light learning disability that has a hard time keeping a job and she's living in a car. And for
Correct.
that
Yeah.
person
Correct.
who
Correct.
can't just go to Iowa and get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, all of these things are numbers. There's numbers where when unemployment goes up by 1%, a certain amount of people die. These are systems, right? I don't think there's ever been a system created that I'm aware of that takes homelessness down to zero.
Yeah,
That's
No,
not
no,
possible.
no, it's not. But
it's not possible.
It's
So there are bad systems where there's too many homeless. Like you can look at San Francisco and you can look at how they attract homeless people like a magnet. They create more homeless. They create permanent homeless. There are systems that are obviously bad. So then the question is, as a country, right, as a system, how do we want to tackle this issue? And I think we have to start by being honest about all the factors of it. And so like one of those factors is mental health. One of those factors is drug use. Another factor is the cost of living. But they're all factors, and it's almost never
yeah.
this one thing.
Yeah, and like you said, we can never solve the problem, but to approach it with that, you know how it is, like if you're going for a goal
Yes.
and you're going to think like I'm never going to get there,
Yeah.
that itself is a negative thing. You're
Right,
not going
right.
to get there.
You're not even working for it.
So my point is like this is what we strive for. You know, happiness or an opportunity for everybody in America to pursue their happiness.
Yeah.
And how can we do that? Because we have this tendency of, if someone fails, we have a tendency to look down on them, like you know, like count that against them, like you fucked up, so you deserve it.
Yeah.
But how about we try to be a little bit more empathetic about that?
Yeah,
like you
like
know,
that.
maybe we could figure out what is it, like you know, yeah, it might be a little burden on the society, but you are a human being. We're going to be there for you. We're going to help you get out. Like you know, drug issue is, a lot of times we blame them for being a drug addict, but there is an underlying depression or something that is going on with the person, and when they fall out of the system, we literally kick them really hard out.
That's a really good point. I mean, like, I mean, we know lots of people who do drugs and then are still fine.
Yeah.
But there's definitely an underlying issue where some people who do drugs, it is overwhelming for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And recognizing, like, even the simple fact of saying, like, drug users, non-drug users, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, no, there are different types of people who are doing different types of drugs who have a foundation that is set on the wrong path when they get onto drugs, and they cannot get out of it themselves.
Yes,
for
yes.
sure.
And some people, especially in this country recently, have been straight up lied to. Like there's an opioid crisis that we're dealing with. And you go back, like, I don't know the exact number, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And as these were being introduced, the studies were they did billion-dollar settlements over this. The studies were being suppressed, and the doctors were being told to tell their patients, this isn't habit forming.
Yeah.
This isn't addicting. And they're giving them
Yeah.
basically the equivalent of like Oxycontin or Xanax or like really, really tough opioids.
It goes back to big business being greedy.
Yeah.
Like you know, manipulate the doctor, feed drugs to people, and we let them get away with that. We bail these fuckers. You know, a big bank fucks up and makes the country pay for it, and then we bail out these CEOs and they get out with golden parachutes, and we don't stop that.
Yeah.
But God forbid a hardworking person experiences a depressing incident like loss of a loved one or a child or something, and gets into drugs, and all of a sudden he's a drug addict, kick him out of the system. Since you're a drug addict, I'm not going to give you a job. Since you're a drug addict, I'm not going to let you have like a free social services, like give you social services. Because a lot of people get kicked out of social services because they're on drugs. Like the guy was talking about how his kid was being taken away, even though he's being responsible,
Right.
because they assume that he's on drugs, so he is not fit for it. So, like, you know, what if we put resources into preventing that kind of shit? Like, okay, if you're a drug addict, like you're passed out on the street, and if you look at like older missionaries, they used to take people them and feed them and like teach them about God, and now we're a secular country, so yeah, you don't want to teach them about God, but pick him up, treat him with empathy, and I think I'm okay if my tax dollars are used for that. You know, we are all living in a really, like, this country gave us a lot. Like we are living very, if you think about it, the rest of the world, like we have cars, we have. I mean,
There's a reason why people
I mean,
are trying
we're
to get
living
here.
in a desert, like with AC, like 24/7, and like we can't we still have homeless people, and we still have like.
Are you gonna run for Congress or run for
Vishnu.
mayor? What?
Vishnu.
I might,
Vishnu.
bro. I might. I'm planning to go to my will, my town. I'm planning to be part of the town because
Nice.
I want to build like footpaths, bro. Like my town has a train station that is 1 hour into city, and they keep building like these big parking lots so people could drive their cars there, but if around like 2 or 3 mile radius to the station, you could make them all like bicycle paths,
Yeah.
and a lot of people could commute,
Yeah.
and they don't do that because I don't know why. It's like footpaths. That's all I want to do. I want to go and build like footpaths and make it.
I love it. We need more. I've always said I think a stand-up comedian, if you can get good at comedy, you can get good at anything. Everything else is easier than like being a lawyer. What Bill does every day, very easy. Being funny like you, very hard. Very impressive.
Thanks.
Who cares? All right. Guys, this is another episode of Hardly Legal. Thanks for tuning in. If you have a crazy legal story and you want to talk to some lawyers anonymously, for free, call us.
Wait, we're not getting paid?
Nothing at all. I don't know how we're going to pay for it, to be honest.